locally. We think that's the only way to do it, and Minneapolis really showed us that. So we are just saying ICE out of New York. New Yorkers don't want to see their neighbors kidnapped.
A large group of protesters descended on the Tribeca Hotel last night and ended up occupying the lobby. They did anti-ICE chants and held anti-ICE signs in a call for ICE to leave New York City. Police asked them to leave the lobby of the hotel several times before dozens were arrested. It's unclear if ICE agents are staying at the hotel. From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's Dependable Lock Services, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
Most social platforms throttle your reach, track your behavior, and decide what you're allowed to see. Audax does none of that. Here, you control the algorithm. Your posts go where you send them, without shadow bans, filters, or hidden limits. Audax doesn't spy on your private life. No one listens to your calls. No one monitors your searches. And because we don't take money from corporate advertisers, no one is manipulating what you see or how you use the platform. Audax is built for patriots who want a place to organize, speak freely, and push back against the issues facing America without interference. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every penny. Join the Rise for Liberty project at audax1.com and take back your voice.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to truckersunitedforfreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong. Mammoth Nation.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day. The Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Gorvin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives. It looks like Todd McKinley is a little bit absent right now. He said he's about 10 minutes late. So Chris and I will hold down the fort while we're waiting him to get on in here. Chris, how you doing, man? Did you get plenty of snow out there in Pennsylvania?
Well, you'd think it was a lot of snow. They certainly made it out to be the worst thing since the blizzard of 78, but I'm just kind of like, just a couple feet of snow, no big deal. We were in the worst spot in the country with the heaviest downfall, about 3 feet total hit here over the course of the time, and I wasn't impressed. The roads were clear within a day, and things were back to normal. The airfield was, but I had to cancel my trip or reschedule my trip to Dallas today because Dallas is still buried under ice a week later. And so I have to push my trip to Dallas. I had to reschedule everything, cost me a bit of money, even though it should have been for free because it's weather related, but had to pay a change charge for the flight and a change charge for the rental vehicle. And hopefully I can sell my hockey ticket back because there's no game when I come. The game is Monday night and I won't be there Monday night. So yeah, no, I wasn't impressed with the storm. I know when I moved to Pennsylvania a few years back, we had 3 feet of snow in one day, and this was spread out over 24 hours. So they made it sound like the world was coming to an end, but that's just the hyperbole and the hysteria that the media and the meteorologists like to stoke these days. You know, obviously it was a problem. It affected and snarled lots of traffic, and there's a lot of economic loss. But I mean, I think we're becoming a soft nation. I mean, we survived the blizzard of 78. This is a walk in the park. The blizzard of 78, we had 30-foot drifts in front of our house. We couldn't get out our door. We had to slide out the back and dig the snow away to get out a window, and then take a rope and tie it to everyone in the family and tie a handkerchief because you couldn't see more than 6 feet in front of you as the snow blew at about 40 knots and visibility is reduced to nothing. And we had to make our way down through the drifts to a neighbor's place about a mile away. We stayed in a little fishing lodge down on his pond there for a week before the National Guard plowed the roads, and lots of people died, and the temperatures were below zero. It's a cakewalk, man. What happened to America? We've become a bunch of babies.
Yeah, I know. I worked the snowstorm up here in Massachusetts. We only got like 20 inches, I think, in Massachusetts. Very different places, different regions. New Hampshire, where I live, got somewhere around 18 inches. I think Nashua may have gotten 20 total. Not too bad, not as bad as Pennsylvania. I'll tell you what, man. But they did have the interstates and stuff shut down as we predicted.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, it's real. You don't take it lightly, but you prep and you're ready for it. But what surprised me is here we are a week later. So I was flying to Dallas tomorrow morning at 6:45. Not anymore. So I looked, and for 3 days in a row, the flights were canceled, even though flights schedule resumed. We're in the worst part of the country for the storm, and the Harrisburg Airport was reopened on Tuesday. I mean, they were fully operational on Tuesday, and they're still fully operational. Yet Dallas is a disaster. American Airlines, 1,500 canceled flights. It's insane. And I looked yesterday. It said that the flight from Harrisburg to Dallas was gone, and it was completed. But then I looked back today, and it turns out it never left. And then the one today was delayed for 2 hours and 4 hours and 7 hours and 8 hours. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to make it. So I got busy and made a few phone calls, made a few changes, and I'm rebooked for next week. Same thing. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, it's I guess ice is the problem in Texas. They're buried under ice. They can't break it up.
It gets bad out there. They're not prepared for it. You know, they don't. I think I was last in Texas in 2014 when I was still over the road, and that winter going in 2015, same thing. A lot of ice, a lot of problems, a lot of accidents, and they were ordering trucks, I think, coming as far as from Michigan to get roads cleared up and stuff. And
wow. Well, you know, it's interesting because in advance of the storm, Louisiana had 2,900 utility workers standing by, sitting on the side of the road in their trucks to fix power lines and get them back up. Now, that is a state that's prepared. 2,900 workers ready to do that. I remember the same in Florida when one of the hurricanes a couple years ago was supposed to be really bad. They had thousands of workers on the roads ready to clear the roads and get them back up and operational, and utility workers ready to put the power lines back up. I mean, that's nice. I mean, it's we have more utility workers ready to respond to the crisis in Louisiana for a storm that they're not accustomed to, that they rarely see, than there probably are police officers respond to a crisis in South Africa, or than there are ICE agents in Minneapolis.
Yeah, that's organized and ready. Todd, welcome to the show, brother. You guys over there in Tennessee, you make it through that storm okay? Are you still struggling? You suffering, or what's going on?
No, well, there's some people that suffered through Middle Tennessee, West Tennessee, some power outages. Here we just got a lot of cold and very little snow, but a lot of ice in some of the upper elevation that's still there. So a lot of school outages the last few days. And I just came back from a meeting with a constituent. That's why I was a little bit late. It was kind of a last minute thing. So I do apologize for popping in here after the fact. But I think everybody in my area is kind of getting through it outside of just the cold.
You lightweight Southerners. You got an inch and it's too much, right?
Well, ice, you can't beat her ice. I mean, you can't drive on ice. I mean, no matter where you're at in the world, unless you're an ice road trucker, I guess, right?
Yeah. Have you met a New Englander? They're out there. They don't mind.
Oh, believe me, we got people in where I live that can fairly drive because we got upper elevation, so we got people that understand snow and things like that. But you got folks in the lower line, the plateau, they don't quite understand that. So they go all over the place.
I've been there, man. Florida, Jacksonville and stuff when that ice is over. Nobody expects it. They hit them bridges and stuff, and it's a disaster. And I've been out there in Atlanta and seen cars. Literally, it was headlights to taillights, just spinning circles across the bridge unexpectedly. And they have cars off the roads left and right, and headlights pointing up into the sky, and it's a mess because they really, when it gets big for them, they really don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, you think you can go 90, whenever it's just ice out or black ice, especially on a bridge. I mean, the way the air flows under, it's going to freeze over a lot quicker, and they think they can just drive 90 miles an hour over it. And I'm sorry, you just cannot.
Here in New England, man, it's like 3 inches an hour or something. Somebody's like, "Hey, I'm making a run to dunks. Anybody want a dunk? You want a dunk? You want? Yeah, large hot coffee, sure, I'll get you. It's like no big deal."
I mean, if you have, snowpack. I mean, you can drive on some snowpack, but ice. I mean, that's just you got to be careful.
It depends on what you're dealing with. The worst thing is when you get that light coating of snow over the ice you can't see.
Oh, right. you get that false sense, and your car starts sliding. You're like, adjust.
You get that turn or something, and you're not going into a turn. You're going straight. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But
go
ahead.
Did you guys already talk about Ilhan Omar and the attack? I'll use air quotes here.
I was just going to lead into that one right there. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys your take on that. It seems to me, I was talking to somebody earlier today. I'm going, that was a false flag. And yeah, you guys sent a message, and I've seen people over social media calling out too. So what do you think there, Todd?
Well, I look at the video. Apparently there was a camera that zoomed in on the guy beforehand. Apparently he was known to this campaign and known to everybody there. I mean, you sit on the front row. I mean, you got to know somebody generally, right? And then the camera zoomed in on this guy. He's just sitting there doing his little thing, eating, drinking, whatever. And then all of a sudden, the way he gets up, he steps away from her at an angle more toward the bodyguard. So because I guess he looked like he's going to get tackled, and then sprays this syringe stuff. It's like, if you're going to attack her, why would you not just run right at her, attack her, do what you got to do, accept the tackle after the fact? Don't lean into the tackle the way this guy did. It looked really odd to me.
No, Holden, it's a fire truck. He might be just out there cleaning out fire hydrants or something. I don't know. It seems to me that should have been already done by now. But I think that was late. What do you think, Chris?
False flag operation, pure nonsense, utter crapola. It's pretty obvious the whole thing was staged. I mean, look at her. Well, the coward's like, as he gets up, she's already rushing at him like, come on, I'll take you down. What a crock. Yeah, this is all being played for votes and attention. And it all comes right in line with Trump caving to the insurrectionists in Minneapolis. Instead of declaring the Insurrection Act and rounding up these people and locking them up where they belong, we've caved once again. And this is what encourages these lunatics to misbehave and to undermine and to be subversive against this country. And this is one of the shortcomings of Trump presidency we're going to regret. Now, let me finish. If we get through the midterms and we hold the House and Senate, and he returns to this, then I'll trust him. But right now, I don't trust the president on this issue.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. He had that conversation with Governor Walz. Oh, great conversation, same wavelength and all that. And I'm like, oh, now they're off the hook at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was thinking that she did it for sympathy votes. I thought the same thing. She's in a bind. She's being accused. There's accusations flying around, and she needs support. And it is kind of like a midterm election year, and so this whole look what Trump brought on me, let's create this scenario and blame it on Trump, and it'll look like, we got to stand up against it. We were talking about that earlier, where lawfare worked in Trump's favor, and a lot of people started saying, wait a minute, we see too much of this nonsense on the left, and they kind of favored Trump and understood and kind of sympathized with him in the matter. And now they're going to try to create that same scenario because this is what you call, ladies and gentlemen, emotional appeal.
Right. It's kind of like the break-in at the quote Leering centers, right? Where all of our data is missing, all this information. You had this guy, 20-something guy with a Yankee hat on, like, here, you're going to be the spokesperson for all this. It's like you don't know how to grift, but get on up there and try to grift us here. Yeah, everything's stolen. They broke in. It's like the police are like, where did they break in it exactly? Somebody slipped through that little hole. I'm sorry, it didn't happen. It's BS. This attack was fake. It was staged. And the person who did it is going to be found out, obviously, to have some sort of mental problem. Probably was associated with the campaign or something like that. Knows somebody. Oh, we don't know why he did it, but it was Trump that pushed him over the edge or something like that. It's going to be blamed on Trump one way or another. If this is a Juicy Smollett situation, it's going to be blamed on Trump.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about blaming the MAGA crowd for stuff that these people do.
Yeah, that they
Simple as
do
that.
to themselves, even though that they stage it to do to themselves. Well, Trump made us do it. Come on.
Everything Trump. Something happens in China and somehow it's Trump's fault.
Right.
Yeah,
It depends on which
apparently.
province it's in, for sure.
At least it wasn't bacon grease, these comments. Yeah, so I think that's what it is. They're just trying to spin things for the election year and try to get Trump off their back or deviate attention from themselves as far as the issues going on. We've seen these tactics play out so many times. It's incredible. Just it's like watching the same old. It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's what it's like watching Groundhog Day. It keeps happening every day. So, in the meantime, though, on another note, we've seen Mr. Preddy got his well, what do you want to, how do you want to word that? He's dead. Apparently he got in the middle of some skirmish or something, involved ICE and carrying a gun on him at the protest. I think we all know the story. We've all been on social media and have seen a lot of it. You guys got any thoughts on that?
Todd, you want to go first?
Here's the thing. People talk about, it's a two-way situation. I'm like, yeah, everybody has a right to carry a firearm and this and that. But here's what I say. Why are you carrying the firearm? Are you carrying it to protect yourself? Or are you carrying it to intimidate people? Are you carrying it to protect the lives of your friends, family, your property? Or are you using it to try to intimidate ICE, etc.? I'm sorry. You don't have the right to actually carry a firearm to intimidate people or to potentially commit other crimes. So protect yourself by all means, for sure. But you don't have a right to go intimidate people, which I think maybe this guy was looking to do. Not sure 100%, but I'm not 99% sure that maybe was what his motive was here.
Well, yeah, my take on this is as follows. It's inappropriate to bring a loaded firearm and treat it like your Grand Theft Auto and stick it in the back of your pants next to your buttocks. First off, that's a pretty unsafe operation to begin with. Where's your holster? Right. Why aren't you carrying a holster? Second, why are you on the street interfering in a law enforcement operation, carrying a concealed weapon, presenting a clear and present danger to public safety and to the people there? Yes, Minnesota law allows for concealed carry. Yes, apparently he had a permit for the gun. I don't know if he had a concealed carry permit because many states require that in addition. But the bottom line is this. You don't bring 22 rounds, 2 magazines of a weapon like that, a Sig Sauer, and then you intervene. And all of that was preventable. All he had to do was surrender. Right. When the police tried to apprehend, all he had to do was not resist. Why do these idiots resist? We constantly see these police officers' lives destroyed over felons who happen to be black, who endanger the life of the public and public safety, as well as the law enforcement officers at a traffic stop, and then their lives are destroyed. We saw that from the Minneapolis cop, the female who shot the guy with a gun instead of a taser. And what's lost in that whole story is that her partner was in the passenger side leaning in when this guy tried to drive off and could have drugged that cop to his death. He presented a deadly threat to the public and to the other officer. She fired with deadly force. Why is she going to prison? Why was her life destroyed? Why is she a felon and spent 3 years in prison? It makes no sense whatsoever with a conviction because of this criminal. And so, when the police tell you to do something, do it. Do it. You get no empathy. Again, I know this a lot of people take concession to this, but I really don't care. Ashley Babbitt is the architect of her own demise. She shouldn't be dead. The man who shot her used deadly force illegitimately, and he should be charged with manslaughter at a minimum, but he's covered up because he's black and she's white, so the government covered it up. But the reality here is she was the architect of her own demise. She had no business in the building. She shouldn't have gone in there. If she hadn't gone in there, she wouldn't be dead. If this man had simply not walked in the street, interfered with law enforcement, he would not be dead. If he hadn't brought a loaded weapon to the scene, he wouldn't be dead. If this man had not resisted arrest, he would not be dead. End of the story. No sympathy, no empathy. And meanwhile, these people on the far right who have these huge social media accounts running on and telling all these fantastical stories about the guy who's an illegal immigrant, who's an illegal firearm. They didn't know any of that stuff. How do these people have followings? They have no credibility whatsoever. It really irritates me when people who have genuine credibility and don't rush to judgment. The bottom line is he was an American citizen. He had a licensed firearm, but he is the architect of his own demise. And that's where the story stops. And that's where it begins. And that's where it ends.
Right. Yeah, I'm reading up on the substance that was sprayed on her. Apple cider vinegar is what the FBI is saying that it was. So nothing too harmful there for sure.
There's nothing harmful at all. It's a false flag operation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what I find hilarious is that people start attacking people, conservatives on the right about this. My first comment on my broadcast last night, right after this happened, because I was live last night, I said, first off, this is inappropriate. This is not how people behave. You do not have the right to attack public figures, because I said the same thing when Josh Hawley's wife was intimidated, interrogated, harassed on her property when they committed felonies by stepping on her property.
Omar celebrated, by the way.
Exactly. She celebrated that, a 9-month pregnant woman. And that's, So I said the same thing. You don't do that to public officials. That's not acceptable. However, the way we deal with Ilhan Omar is a complete and thorough investigation. We strip her of her naturalized citizenship and we put her on a plane back to Somalia. That's how we deal with Ilhan Omar, not attack her.
I wouldn't condone or encourage by any means anybody attack anybody any side of the aisle. That's ridiculousness, and it just doesn't bring good ends, Yeah.
Well, somebody in the chat, so at least it wasn't bacon grease. Gosh, that's messed up. That's messed up. Alluding to the fact that she's a Muslim. So,
right.
So, I think a lot's come out after the Preddy case. We were talking about the Good case and how the officer was doing a perimeter walk around her car, video recording everything. Well, it turns out they were informed to do so, start documenting these guys. So what I'm gathering now after all this facts that happened is DHS started realizing that there was agitators here and they want to document who these agitators are. And Preddy, I guess, has been known with them. It's because if you guys remember the video, they were looking for a gun on him. How did they know he had a gun if it was concealed?
Well, first off, he's known to Border Patrol. A week prior, he interfered with Border Patrol operations and interfered. He was tackled and broke some ribs. So he was out for revenge. That's what this is all about. No one's going to talk about that angle.
Yeah, they're also not talking about the fact that on Facebook, a lot of these people on the left were talking about bringing guns to the party.
Right.
They were saying this. You have a video of a guy standing up in front of his house going, "I'm just here to protect my neighborhood." He's got his AR. I don't know if it was a BB gun or a water gun or if he actually had a real rifle. But he's standing out there with the thing, with a sling on it so tight it was tucked into his chest. I don't know if he could fire it or not. It was so tight on his body. But he had it. He had it out on display, and he was making the statements, "I'm here to protect." Well, what was he going to protect his neighborhood from? He didn't exactly say, but the obvious goal is ICE is out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like implied. So I think Preddy was pretty much feeling encouraged by all this and decide, like you said, going in for revenge or going to make sure he's protected himself from now on. And it led to a disastrous outcome for him.
Indeed. Well, this is, architect of his own demise. As I said, that's, it's once again, people do stupid things. This is what happens. And that's what happens. Stupid things. Look, I'm a little irritated by all this stuff. This is an insurrection in Minneapolis. I'd like to see the army in there. Yep. That's not drastic. These people need to be rounded up and put in zip ties and hauled off, and they can sit there in the cold for a little bit. Hopefully they won't get frostbite while they wait.
So Holden's making a correction. He says, no, because bacon grease is hot. So I guess he didn't want to be accused of being
well, bacon grease can also be room temperature too. I mean, after you cook the bacon, let it set. I get you got grease that's going to sit there and it can congeal, but you do have some types of grease that you could just put in a syringe and squirt for sure. But I get what he's saying. Yeah, some types of grease, obviously with the viscous, will heat up whatever and become more liquid. And some will come to be more of a solid after the fact. It's weird.
Well, maybe we should move off the bacon grease. That was
let's move off the bacon grease. I'm not a scientist here, but I do love.
No, it's not a question of that. It's some people are Muslims would probably find it insulting. That's why I tried not to laugh too much about it.
No, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Obviously, but like you said, nobody should be attacked just because you're a public official. I mean, I think she should be defeated roundly in elections. I think she should be investigated, probably kicked out of the country for fraud, arrested, put in prison, whatever the case may be. I think she's committed fraud on multiple levels, to include a $30 million fraud, to include immigration fraud, et cetera, et cetera. But definitely don't attack them or anything like that. Just let the system work itself out if it's going to, and get her out of the way.
So do you guys think this thing going on in Minneapolis, all these protests and stuff and bringing guns to the party, do you think that the ultimate goal for them is to try to convince the right to start going after two-way rights, start restricting two-way rights? You know, if we see these violent protesters with guns, that we might actually become weak in the knees and decide we should give up some of our rights too?
But possibly. I've seen people on social media, call out the left carrying guns there, and it's like, somebody, you see a picture of somebody just carrying a gun, put it in context. What is the person doing? Like you said, is he protecting something? Is he there protecting himself? What's the reason they have the weapon? Just showing a picture of it and saying, oh, we got to take these weapons away. It's like anti-2A in my way. And I've seen a lot of people on the right actually go against them. And I'm like, well, let's get the context of the picture before we sit there and want to go after these people. I think there's something more to it there.
So we on 26th of January here was the 10th anniversary of the death of Robert Lavoie Finicum. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he was during the cattle ranch standoff in Oregon against Bureau of Land Management in 2016.
Is that the Bundy one, or is that a different one?
Yeah, Bundy was involved, but so you had the Bundy standoff in Nevada, and this one was in Oregon.
Right.
I forget the gentleman's name,
different state,
Harrison. And they had a ranch, and they were in trouble because they were doing a controlled burn, but the controlled burn went just past their property line into government property. And it was just a small section. It wasn't like a large, burn or something. But now they were being charged for arson on federal land. And they're like, what are you doing? So basically, cattlemen and stuff were being attacked. They were calling, literally, the federal government was calling the Bundy's cattle. They were killing them and weeding out their herd. So this happened in 2016 in Oregon, and Robert Lavoie Finicum was coming off the hill, and he was their spokesman more or less. And he was going to go see a sheriff in another county, and he was stopped by the Oregon State Police. And in the video, you never hear them give a lawful order or any kind of command at all. And he explained to him what he was doing, and curious why he was being detained or why he's being stopped. And he just told me, well, I'm going to go on. I have no reason to be here. And in all honesty, he was kind of harsh in his language and his verbiage. He wasn't being overly pleasant about it. But he asked the passengers. He had 3 passengers in the back of his Dodge pickup truck. And he asked me, he says, you want to get out? And they're like, no, we want to go with you. We were riding with you because we want to be there. So we're staying. And so they proceeded to leave. When they did, they were being pursued by the police and shot at by the police. And led into a chase. And there was a roadblock about 2 miles ahead. And the roadblock was set up to deter them off into a embankment, into a snowbank. In which case, there was an officer standing there where Robert Lavoie Finicum could have proceeded to squeeze between the snowbank and the vehicle, but there was an officer there. So he proceeded to turn left into the snowbank and bank himself there, come out of the car, and they shot and killed him. Unarmed. Didn't present a weapon. And they proceeded to shoot it. And this is why I get so upset when Good was shot. This is the reason why I was getting upset, because they proceeded to shoot into this pickup truck where there was 3 innocent occupants in there they knew were in there.
Right.
And in fact, Ryan Bundy was one of them, and he still got the bullet in his arm as a result of it. So Shalise Finicum, his daughter, made a statement recently. She says, where do people stand nowadays? I don't understand anymore. I'm kind of confused. You're either for Second A or you're not for Second A. You can't be wishy-washy about it. She says, let me let you know where I stand. It's legal to buy a tank in the United States of America. And if I could afford one, I'd go out and buy one and drive it into town just because. I thought it was a pretty good statement.
Right. Yeah.
You need a lot of money to pay for the diesel.
Well, hey, look, I looked them up after that statement. I'm like, she's right there. They are for sale. 115,000, 120,000 used tanks. And I'm like, yeah, that's not, no, if you had extra cash, 120,000 or so sitting around and might make a nice yard ornament. I mean,
right, it's about it. A yard ornament or ornament at a VFW or something like that. That's about what they're good for. I mean, you're not going to be able to use them for anything other than if you had enough land to have some fun with it, where people could pay to, come around and goof off on them. Other than that, that's about it.
Well, I did tell the wife, I'm like, all right, we're buying a tank. She goes, for what? I go, so we can shoot stuff. We'll have to buy some old military vehicles or something, put them out in the field and shoot stuff. Of course, I don't have $120,000 just sitting around.
Right,
So,
yeah.
No, don't mistake me. I'm not loaded with cash. I'm not exactly
One round would probably cost you 30 grand or something, however much they cost.
I mean, I can imagine buying the rounds. Oh, man. So,
Cost
yeah,
prohibitive.
anyway, I saw an article here somewhere about shall not infringe here, New Hampshire Journal, about attempts to, I kind of glanced through it. I didn't get the whole thing, but advocates rebuke anti-gun rhetoric from Trump administration. So it's kind of concerning because when you start seeing articles like this, you start to think maybe that's the ploy of the left, is to get people to lean towards their direction. If they make a display of the misuse of firearms, then, oh my God, maybe we'll all get weak in the knees. I don't know about you guys, but I don't plan on getting weak in the knees about this.
No, but I saw a few on social media getting weak on it. Like, oh, we got to crack down on this and this and that. It's like, wait a minute. Now you have no leg to stand on whenever you talk about you going out and carrying your firearm. Like even Rittenhouse called it out. It's like, this is ridiculous.
So guy in here on looks like Chris's channel, either Chris or Billy, tank ? Remember what Marvin Himmeyer did in Granby, Colorado? If nobody's familiar with that, I'm not even sure if I can say this word on social media, but he built what's called the Killdozer. And he took a bulldozer and armor plated the thing and went ballistic all over because somebody put a business next to his business and cut him off from accessing his business from the road. So he had no drive into his business and just basically bankrupted the guy, and the city council wouldn't hear from him and stuff like that. So he lost it. He literally lost it. He
wasn't the mayor. Wasn't the mayor really close with the other business owner or related in some way or something like that?
Yeah, I think
there was some underhanded
zoning
stuff.
board or something. I don't remember the details.
And apparently, according to state law, he had a right of way. He could have access, but they were denying it for whatever reason.
Yes. Yeah. So they cut him off from his business. It was a mechanic shop. He repaired cars and stuff. So, and it's funny because it took him like a year to build it. This is how long the guy plotted it, and he has this bulldozer in his garage, all covered up. And people were coming and going, and I don't know how they were coming and going. If they could, maybe it was because he was still fighting. Maybe he had to have access way at the time. But yeah, so he was building it all the time, and nobody knew what he had underneath that tarp until it came out. Literally came out of the garage.
Yeah, I mean, you push somebody to a point, by all means. And if you lash out against a corrupt government, and corrupt individuals, hey, I got no sympathy for people who are corrupt. Sorry. I'm not saying that the Killdozer was the right thing, but I have no sympathy for corrupt political or government officials at all. Sorry.
I don't think he caused any. He just did property damage with it. He didn't.
Right. He wasn't out looking, I guess. He didn't mount a machine gun or anything like that. But still, I don't have sympathy for the mayor or anybody whose property he destroyed. I mean, be honest with you. Not saying it's right, but I don't really have any sympathy. Sorry.
To put emphasis on that particular situation, how dire it was for that guy, he did commit suicide at the end of that when he ran out of fuel, or he was stopped and he couldn't go any further. He carried a weapon and a bullet in there to end it for himself.
Well,
I don't like this conversation.
Yeah, no, I just it's a strange one. But I mean, I had a question for you, John. I was curious. I mean, do you know what Michael Dell of Dell Computer and Nicki Minaj have in common?
No.
Donald Trump, baby. They love Trump. Oh, the Trump accounts were announced today with big fanfare. I am so freaking envious. Does anyone realize how wonderful this opportunity is? You will be now able to put I get $1,000 for every child born during Trump's second administration. Every child born to an American citizen family gets $1,000 deposited to a Trump account as long as you set it up. And then you can put $5,000 in there every year, tax exempt. And then a lot of companies are now also matching that. JP Morgan and others announced they're going to put money in there as well. So kids are going to, at a minimum, have close to $100,000 deposited into an account over the first 18 years of life. That money in the U.S. economy will grow to be $1.5 to $2 million when they turn 18. These kids are all going to be off. They'll have money for college. They'll be able to buy a house. This is insane. It's going to be probably more than $2 million because, the dollar, what the dollar's worth these days and the deflation, but it's insane. This is such a brilliant idea whose time is long overdue. It was like the Roth IRAs. Why do we have to wait so long for this? Imagine if we had Roth IRAs when we were 18 years old. We'd all be fabulously wealthy now if we were smart and put money aside. Those who put money in for their kids' future are going to set them up for success. But of course, most American families will be too lazy, ignorant to save for their kids, and they'll wind up leaving nothing for them. And then they'll complain it was for the rich people, but it's not. If it's for rich people, it'd be 100,000 a year, not a 5,000.
There is the affordability factor. People will live on week to week, paycheck to paycheck. Probably aren't going to be able to do that. But if there's an automatic $1,000 when your kid's born, you'd be foolish not to sign it up, because that's going to accrue interest and compound during the course of their childhood.
Yeah,
correct.
But like the Colonel said, you're going to have a lot of people that won't do it, won't know how to do it, won't care to figure out how to learn how to do it, and will say that it's rigged. It's against me, whatever the case may be. These people go through life doing that on every single aspect of their life. They're not winners, they're losers, but everybody else is the reason why they're the loser. Sorry.
Yep.
My first thought when I hear this is this to replace UBI? Is this because we're seeing artificial intelligence come in? We're seeing automatic vehicles come in. We're not going to need truck drivers anymore because trucks are going to drive themselves. We're seeing people being displaced in the workplace, and their answer to that is, well, we'll have to retool people for new positions and new careers, as if people didn't pick a career because that's what they had an interest in. Right. Is this the Republican way of saying, instead of creating UBI, we'll do something like this?
No.
Chris, I see it as a form of, this is an opportunity to create generational wealth. I think you're right.
But what this is to create an ownership society, a contribution society, people who contribute to the growth of the economy, people who have a vested interest in it. This is not the same as the National Sovereign Wealth Fund, in which everyone profits from, but something akin to that. If you have an ownership stake in society, then you want Boeing to succeed. Then you want U.S. Steel to succeed. Then you want Xfinity to succeed. And you understand. And if you have a vested interest, you pay attention to it. You become financially literate. And you see the benefits of contributing to your future and saving for the future and building something. This is a game changer. This is something I've been talking about for years when I talk about financial literacy, that this is something we've needed for a long time. And here it is, Trump coming along and stealing my idea again. It's going to be bigger and more beautiful. That's what happened with billionaires. They get all the attention. No, it's absolutely brilliant. This is an ownership society. This is what I talked about for South Africa. South Africa, when apartheid ended, they shook down the big corporations and said, give us equity or we'll turn this into a communist state and just expropriate all your property. So these corporations hand over 25-35% of their shares to these black elite groups. And instead of building something and putting in a national sovereign wealth fund, which would be distributed the capital gains and dividends to all South Africans, or at least those below a certain income threshold, they kept the money for the rich elites. They're rich and elite, and all the poor people are still poor. And instead of people getting a monthly statement going, oh, this month you made X number of rand or dollars because this is a return, or this quarter you got this much. Wow, isn't that amazing? This is good stuff. I'm going to work harder. No, you need to create an ownership society. Private property rights are the key to economic success and prosperity and ending poverty. But the world doesn't see it this way because the world is run by a bunch of leftist lunatics, and a lot of them sit in Washington, D.C., unfortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, literacy, but a lot of people that just will sit around their whole life saying it's all rigged, all this stuff. Those aren't necessarily the people we're going to try to reach. We're going to have people that want to actually succeed in life, who just need an angle, need something to give them that little leg up, that toe-hold. And that's what this will do, as the Colonel kind of described.
So what frustrates me about this is that people don't have. I don't want to hear that. I'm sorry. Unless you were forced to have sex with someone at 18 or 16, had kids in high school. They tied you down, forced you to marry them. You're forced to raise these kids. They made you work in a job where you made less than minimum wage, picking berries illegally, and they forced you at gunpoint to do that. I don't want to hear the excuses. Everybody can save money. It's a question of priorities. Right. Why do you need cigarettes? Why do you need alcohol? Why do you need to go to the club? Why do you need this? Why does your kid need an iPhone? They don't. Save a little bit of money. Why can't you pick up aluminum cans on the side of the road? How hard is that to do? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Why do you have to have brand new furniture? Why can't you go to the Goodwill and buy your furniture there? People make decisions, and oftentimes they're bad decisions. Yeah. Now, there are people with unfortunate circumstances, house fires, not properly insured, medical problems, things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about many people. The issue is this. When I was in Germany in 1994, when I left there, I had a bunch of foreign currency because it was before the euro came in. So I had Danish crowns, I had Dutch guilders. Those are really cool notes. I had British pounds, I had French francs, Swiss francs, Italian lira, Austrian shillings. and you can't turn the coins in. Fortunately, I didn't have any, but I had bills from 4 years of travel. I had these because they always keep the currency rather than buy new currency because you never know what's going to go against you, the rate. So I had that money. It came out to $435 when I exchanged it. That money in 1994 was put into my checking account, immediately deposit, transferred to a savings account. From there, used it to buy shares in a dividend reinvestment plan. You would be shocked at how much money that became over the course of the last 30 years. And that's money that what I consider found money. $435 30 years ago that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Most people would have converted to dollars, went out and had dinner or something like that, or bought themselves, some people bought a TV or something like that. That money has grown and blossomed by reinvesting, and it's provided quite a little nest egg. The point here is that it's not as hard as people make it out to be. The problem is people are financially illiterate. That's why people pay 27% interest on credit cards and never pay the credit cards off and are constantly in debt because they don't use credit cards like charge cards and pay them off in full every month. And they spend more money than they have. If you live within your means, whatever your means are, you can prosper. I know people who had nothing but saved their entire lives, lived frugally, and met their needs, and then died and had huge fortunes that nobody even knew about.
Right. Yeah, there's a story I've read about. It's a janitor who just saved, invested properly, died with about $8 million in the bank, left it to the school. Just people can make it on very little salary if you're smart and frugal, like the Colonel talked about.
Yeah, and you don't need $7 lattes. You really
right,
don't.
right. That or you don't need to go to the gas station, buy your pack of smokes, paying way too much, in a bottle of Mountain Dew. I'm sorry, that's definitely throwing your money down the drain.
Well,
a lot of people every day do that.
I'm not trying to destroy the gas station business model, but lot of these these gas stations make their money because they charge $4 for a slice of pizza, and people pay for it because it's convenient.
Of course,
rather than packing a sandwich in a cooler and taking it with them and saving that $4. Now imagine if you got four kids in the car plus yourself, that's 6 sandwiches minimum, and suddenly you're paying $30 plus drinks. It's $50. You went there for fuel. And you're complaining about the price of gasoline. You put more into sandwiches and drinks than you did in gasoline. You don't even realize it. And by the way, you put it on your credit card. And when it comes the end of the month, you're not going to pay it off full. You're going to pay that minimum $50 charge. And now suddenly those sandwiches and drinks, by the time you pay them off in 18 months, will have cost you $200 instead of $50.
Right.
But people don't get it because they're financially illiterate.
Right. Yeah. Shop smart. Like, for example, that we have a discount nearby. We have a discount grocery store, and next door there's a convenience store, a gas station. You go in there and buy, like, say, Mentos gums as an example. And I like Mentos gum from time to time. Pay almost $6 for like the little blue thing, a little round. Go next door, you're paying $2.50 less, just to go next door. So be smart about what you want and where you buy it at.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
That's right.
You're being asked, what's wrong with Mountain Dew, Todd? Come on,
nothing wrong with Mountain Dew, but you think about it, you're buying like a little, whatever they are, like a 16 ounce, whatever, where you could go next door to the discount place or the grocery store and buy two liters, for the same price. It's like, be smart about where you shop and what you buy. I mean, don't buy the 1 liter whenever you can go buy a two liters for the same price. I'm sorry.
So the difference here is that at a young age, I didn't have anything and I didn't like it. And I saw people have money and no one ever told me how to make money. So I carried my little narrow bottom to the library and read books on saving and investing. I learned about what price to earnings ratio was, debt to earnings ratio, corporate bonds, preferred shares, all the things you need to know, what it means to invest. And I used to go and take advantage of an incredibly valuable resource that helped me get started investing called the Value Line Investment Survey. In fact, it's so valuable that for a while they actually paid the ridiculous amount of money that you have to pay to get it every year to help me get into investing and understand what to invest. But I used to go to the library. And then one of the things I look for it every week when that thing came out, I would get my Value Line survey and I would read that thing religiously. It was fantastic, incredible research. And it paid off. You have to make good decisions in life, but it doesn't take a lot. People always act like you have to have a ton of money to get somewhere. It only takes a few dollars to get started. It takes discipline. I remember that when I came back in the Army after getting out of college, I didn't make much money. As a second lieutenant, you don't make much money back then. Now they make 4 times what I made 30 years ago. But back then I made almost nothing. And I found myself the first 3 or 4 months having no money at the end of the month. After paying off my car payments and paying my insurance, I had almost nothing. So I said, that's it. Enough of this. I'm going to get some discipline back in myself, which I used to have, and I'm going to restart this. So I went to First Interstate and opened a savings account, paid almost nothing in interest. And I had like $23 in loose change. I put it in there, and that money still exists today. It's been reinvested. People just need to have discipline and, put off what you don't need today for tomorrow. Now, look, you can walk outside and get hit by a bus or be struck by lightning and be gone. But a responsible person will prepare for the future and take care, pay their bills, and then pay themselves and pay it forward. But too much of the society is not like that, because in high school we don't teach financial literacy. This is a significant problem. We are financially illiterate society, which banks and credit card companies and loan, mortgage companies take huge advantage of. And then people cry, "Oh, I didn't know better." It was right there in the fine print. Did you not read it? No. Am I supposed to read it? Yes, you are.
Right. Yeah. I went to breakfast this morning, a little small mom and pop diner. And I could overhear the conversation next door or next table over it. And some of the conversation had to deal with, getting a benefit, how to file for this or that type of benefit. And it's like, we're talking about investing and having something for the long term. And they're talking about figuring out how ways to get an extra $1 by filing a piece of paperwork or something like that. It's like, yeah, you do this, you can get this and get this money and whatever. And it's like, this is what we're talking about. While some people are actually talking about investing real money, making things, growing things, building businesses and things like that, not trying to how to worm a penny out of somebody. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's just very disappointing. It's one of the major failures of our society, I think.
Right.
I think that if we have more financially literate people who realize what Congress does to us, burying us in debt every year, they would be much more angry about it, and we wouldn't have this problem. We're not at the end, but it's ironic. If you watch, John, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post, they're making a concerted effort to give the impression that America's economy is in the tank. But our economy is growing at 5%, a $34 trillion economy at 5%. That is unheard of.
Amazing.
First off, it's unheard of because no economy's ever been this big before, but we've never grown this. We haven't grown faster than 3.6% in decades. And the last time they reported, it was 4.3%. Now it's going to be over 5% in this quarter. That's insane. So the economy is growing. $22 trillion of foreign direct investment coming to the country to build factories and plants, which haven't even been built yet. That is yet to come and be built in the economy. It will be Trump's successor who profits from that by the time these buildings are built and thousands and tens of thousands of people employed in manufacturing, and it all gets onshored back in America. And beyond that, the deficit is shrinking. The trade deficit is shrinking. The tax revenue is increasing. The tax cuts are permanent. A new round of tax cuts is coming. No taxes on tips, on overtime, on Social Security. This is, look, I mean, I'm sorry. This one I'm taking for Trump. It is the golden age of America. It is the Gilded Age, and we are headed into it now, and people are too dumb to see it. And these leftist media outlets are lying to the public, trying to drag down the dollar, trying to drag down the economy, talking about, well, the debt is a burden. Well, it was just as big a burden under Biden. You never once talked about it. You never once talked about the debt. It was never an issue. Never an issue. All you want to know is what kind of ice cream he had.
Yeah, right. Chocolate chip or whatever. Double chocolate chip, right? He gets 2 scoops.
My mind's going blank now.
Oh, right. So did you see that in the Philippines where a mayor was attacked by an RPG right in the middle of daylight? No one was apparently harmed. A Filipino mayor unharmed after apparent RPG attack on car in broad daylight. There's a video of this person pulls up as the mayor's pulling away in his little SUV, pulls out his RPG, launches it. Good aim, hits the vehicle, but no one was killed inside, thankfully. But yeah, I guess they had enough of that mayor, right? So talk about the two-way here and people bringing guns to protest. They bring RPGs in the Philippines, apparently. I mean, come on now.
Well, that's pretty
business,
crazy.
But why did it not do its job? Was it too weak, or
I don't know. Maybe just hit it at a certain spot that it didn't do what it should have done. I mean, RPGs don't make this grand explosion like on movies. It's not like a whole car just blows up and starts tumbling. There's not enough explosives for that, for sure.
That must have been a heck of a shakeup, though. I mean, you're sitting in the back of a car and that goes off.
Right. Oh, I'm sure that they rang their bell, but it was just interesting. Like, here we are bringing, rifles and they're bringing RPGs. I thought it was just funny just to mention that real quick. Sorry.
Well, that reminds me of Clear and Present Danger in that scene when they go down that alley. Yeah, that was crazy. Right. That was one of those amazing film sequences. And then they cheated on it. They had like on NCIS or not NCIS on JAG. They did the same scene. They tried to do it on a TV show. But yeah, that was Clear and Present Danger. That was pretty incredible. That whole situation. Right. So John, I'm curious. Are you scared, John? Are you nervous? Are you worried?
Oh, about the shutdown?
No. Molly Ringworm has said that if you support Trump's policies, well, then they're going to come get you when they take over. Actress Molly Ringworm, if you support Trump's fascist policies, you'll be found guilty of treason when leftists take over. Listen, sweetheart, leftists aren't taking over, and nobody cares what a has-been Hollywood B actress has to say. So Molly Ringworm, go back to your hole. We don't want to hear
Right.
from you.
You were a halfway okay actor with an ensemble around you, the Brat Pack. I mean, after that, you're fairly irrelevant in my book. Yeah.
I was going to say,
we're
did you
good.
become
We're
less
good.
relevant. She become irrelevant after John Hughes quit producing movies or something.
Yeah, probably true.
I think so. I think in the 90s she had a couple movies and then just kind of that was it.
So no. The thing of it is, Molly, is we know we lived through 2020. We lived from 2021 to 2025. We understand. We've experienced it once already.
And there's a reason why we support 2A is because whenever you want to send your people, your goons to come after us, we will shoot back.
Well, she said, I feel like I can't stay silent, and neither should you. There's something horrible going on in our country right now. Yes, there's an insurrection in Minneapolis. It's fueled by morons like you, Molly Ringworm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Molly Ringworm, huh?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So Nicki Minaj said, I'm probably the president's #1 fan. That was interesting for me to hear. I didn't know that. And she said, that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. We won't let them get away with bullying him. God is protecting him. Wow. Nicki Minaj, man, she's coming down strong on behalf of the Trumpster. I'm loving it. Yeah. Nicki Minaj, of course, if you follow her, has got the machine gun speed rap when she does her music. It's unbelievable. She's pretty wild. But Nicki Minaj, that's interesting support for the president. She's huge. Of course, she's a devout Christian. That's why she supports Trump. And I just love seeing her up there on stage. But boy, girl has gotten big. She's got a lot in the trunk there. I didn't realize she gotten that big. I mean, like, because I didn't see who it was at first. I saw her from the side. I'm like, who is the lady with the caboose? And it turns out it was Nicki Minaj.
All right. Good deal.
Well, for Nicki Minaj, it is.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, absolutely. I don't follow Nicki Minaj too much, I can tell you.
No, I know her music, but and I also someone I don't follow, and I had no interest in seeing this, John, was Melania's movie. The documentary of Melania that's coming out, but the South African distributor and the two major cinemas in South Africa have dropped it. They're no longer carrying Melania now. It's either censorship or corporate cowardice. And now I need to watch the movie. That's, it's kind of like, what's his name? The Iranian that's in the UK, Salman Rushdie's book. Remember that book?
Right.
When they said, they put a fatwa out on him. I bought the book.
Right.
I was in college just because of that. And, I tried to read it, but it was a crazy book. It wasn't easy to read, but yeah, I bought it just because it was banned. Well, now that they've decided not to carry Melania, I've just got to watch it now. I had no interest in it whatsoever. Now I got to watch it.
Yeah, no, I saw previews for the documentary, and I was like, "What is this? Is it a hit piece? What's the deal with this? Is it a hit piece or is it just kind of behind the scenes?
No. She's an executive producer. There's no hit piece there.
Okay, so it's about just her life, et cetera, kind of autobiography-esque.
I guess I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it, but now I want to see it.
Yeah, well, if they're going to ban it in South Africa, now I'm going to have to get interested. If other countries want to get involved in banning it, hey, whatever, makes me more interested in seeing it. I like, it's like what was it called, the Dictator a few years ago about North Korea, goofy movie. But whenever they banned it in North Korea, I was like, let me watch that. It's a goofy movie. It's funny, but it made me more interested in wanting to see it.
Seth Rogen
right,
and James Franco.
Yeah, funny movie. Just a goof, mindless movie that made me want to actually watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
I think the tyrant in North Korea pretty much made their point in the movie, didn't he?
Exactly.
Banned it.
Right. Yeah. Banning the movie. It's like, yeah, obviously you're a tyrant. You can't say you're not a tyrant in banning movies. Sorry.
So before we get to the top of the hour, something that broke just before we came on, guys. I don't know if you saw this, John, but FBI issued a warrant for Fulton County election office.
Yep.
They are.
Hey, does this mean eventually Rudy Giuliani's going to get his case overturned, or?
I have no idea. All I know is that I appreciate they're going after the scamsters in 2020. But once again, I want the National Institutes of Health, the CDC, Dr. Fraud, and the White House Communications Director, and all these people held accountable for silencing our First Amendment rights by colluding, cajoling, or coercing tech media to silence us. Yep, I want that done. And it's still continuing.
Yeah.
A friend of mine who is a evangelical pastor who prophesies in war zones throughout Africa and brought Christianity to people throughout Africa is a very good human being. And Facebook just canceled 30 of their pages. And they were pages, that had nothing bad or evil on them, gave no excuse, said they cannot appeal it. Facebook remains an evil censorship platform. But it's time for Pam Bondi to get on the case of these people and these who've gotten away with violating the First Amendment. That is the most sacred law out there in the Constitution, and nothing's been done to them. This is unacceptable.
Yep. Sad. I need to follow up about last week about was it Rochester where you were at, the situation up there, and anything else come of that? I saw Billy post a few of your interviews. I didn't get a chance to dig into them too much, but just curious, anything come out of that?
Well, what has happened is that since then, the Church World Service has reached out to 2 of those refugees, to my knowledge, maybe more. They haven't contacted me, but one who felt the need to flee Rochester and go all the way to Idaho, because they went out to Idaho, where the Refugee Assistance Center out there doesn't get any money for them, yet it's providing them assistance, and they're 100% better than they were in Rochester. So this person felt the need to flee. I don't blame him. Twin Falls is a heck of a lot better than Rochester, in my view. But gone out there, and the others who stayed behind in Rochester, both of them were reached out to. Now, the Church World Service sent me an email. I think we talked about that last week. It was kind of a perfunctory, boilerplate thing. It says, well, we can't answer questions about individuals. It's a privacy concern. And to what my response was, I didn't ask you about individuals. I don't care about people's privacy. I'm here to tell you about situations out of control that you need to take a look at, and I'd like a response. Are you taking action? That's all I asked. And anyway, but in the meantime, my investigation did result in something. Someone from the national headquarters wrote and apologized to both of these families and asked how they can make it right, and promised to get them things like their deposit and other things back that they didn't get. So there is action, but it is damage control and not problem solving. They're not fixing the problem. They're not dealing with the bigots and racists who work for the organization, who treat Muslims and Christians and immigrants like feces. And so I'm not done with Church World Service by a long shot. Now, to be fair to Church World Service, this appears to be a localized problem, but it was ignored by the state headquarters, it was ignored by the national headquarters, and it metastasizes, and that's why it happens. It's not the only instance of poor service or negligence by Church World Service, but to be fair to that organization, I have a refugee who arrived in Tampa who was met by Church World Service representative at the airport, took them to their apartment. They are in there. The agent gave them refugee cash assistance right there on the spot. I got photographs of the cash they were handed. Their refrigerator was stocked fully with food. Their cabinets were full, brand new utensils, spatula. The bathroom was full of toilet paper and cleaning stuff and shampoo and underarm. And there was linen on the beds and pillowcases, and unbelievably, a wonderful welcome. And their agent contacts them almost every day when they first got there for the first week, and now it's backing off a little bit so as not to be overwhelming to them. A complete night and day situation. And it's also Church World Service. The problem is that they hire people in many places who are not qualified, who don't give a crap, and are bigots and racist. And they call themselves a faith-based organization. I have a problem with a faith-based organization that is too lazy to do basic checks on people. And then, of course, we saw what happened to me. But I guess we're at the top of the hour, John.
We are at the top of the hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a top of the hour break, catch some news maybe you can use, and get right back on this and talk about a few other things. Don't go nowhere.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
USA Radio News, I'm Anthony Lucero. President Trump is scheduled to hold a cabinet meeting at the White House tomorrow as several issues surround his administration. Topics include ICE operations in Minnesota, rising tensions with Iran, and a renewed focus on affordability for Americans. The meeting will be the 10th cabinet session of Trump's second term. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Beijing, becoming the first UK leader to visit China since 2018. Critics say he's being too accommodating, but former Hong Kong Governor Chris Patton says engagement and caution can coexist.
We do have to deal with them, but deal with them not by giving them what used to be called the mandate of heaven, by assuming that you can't criticize them and without losing exports or losing other opportunities.
Starmer meets tomorrow with President Xi Jinping to discuss trade, investment, and national security, alongside leaders from major British companies. President Trump says he loves American farmers, promoting a $12 billion farm aid package during a Fox News interview in Iowa. Farmers have lost billions in soybean sales as China shifted to South American suppliers amid stalled trade talks.
Anybody in this room get any of it yet? Yes, yeah. And a lot of people. It's a lot of money. And you know what? You deserved it. But we're taking in so much money from the tariffs that we can do that.
Trump said the aid isn't tied to tariffs, blaming what he called bad Biden-era policies during a campaign-style stop in the state. The Justice Department says they still plan on releasing millions of documents connected to the late sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein, but they're not sure exactly when.
A law passed last year required the department to release all of the Epstein files in December, but only about 125,000 pages have been released so far. There are still millions being reviewed for what the DOJ says is to make sure the identities of abuse survivors are protected. In a letter from the department to judges on Tuesday, officials said they expect to complete the review in the near term. I'm Mark Mayfield.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to TruckersUnitedForFreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
Hi, Nashua. I'm Perry Cataldo from Choice Benefit Services, your local insurance agent that has dedicated himself to all the Medicare plans in New Hampshire. Whether you're just turning 65, new to Medicare, or already have a plan, I'll explain all your Medicare options and extra benefits that you hear so much about. I ensure you're getting all you're entitled to and all that you deserve. Nashua, don't get fooled again this year. Call Perry Cataldo at 603-461-5550. That's 603-461-5550. Or visit me online at cbsnh.com. That's cbsnh.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Most social platforms throttle your reach, track your behavior, and decide what you're allowed to see. Audax does none of that. Here, you control the algorithm. Your posts go where you send them, without shadow bans, filters, or hidden limits.
Audax doesn't spy on your private life. No one listens to your calls. No one monitors your searches. And because we don't take money from corporate advertisers, no one is manipulating what you see or how you use the platform. Audax is built for patriots who want a place to organize, speak freely, and push back against the issues facing America without interference. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every penny. Join the Rise for Liberty project at audax1.com and take back your voice.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just not tuning in, you're listening to Common Sense Conservatives right here, WSMN 1590 on your AM dial, 95.3 on your FM dial, and you can catch it at wsmn.live. So, gentlemen, did you see this judge in Oregon denied Trump access to voter registration information, things like social security numbers, dates of birth, and names, and driver's license numbers, things they already have access to, and they already have all this information. They just wanted to know what voters were on the registers within the states. But somehow it comes down to some like a privacy issue or something. All of a sudden, these leftist judges care about privacy.
Yeah, they want to keep dead voters and illegal voters on the rolls, basically. That's what I get out of it.
Well, it's no different than leftists suddenly believe in the Second Amendment in Minneapolis.
Yeah, convenient. Convenient. The believers in the Second Amendment. Yeah.
Suddenly the Second Amendment matters. They care about it all of a sudden. Yeah, no, look, I mean, these federal judges are out of control. They seem to think they're authority on themselves. Their role is to adjudicate whether something conforms to law, not to decide things politically, which is what they do. We've got judges, trying to tell ICE they can't use legal law enforcement options like pepper spray rather than escalate something to deadly force. What do they want people to do? Just open fire on crowds who are out of control? No, there's a reason for using CS riot control. There's nothing wrong with using it people who are abusing the law. So, it's these activist judges are out of control. And some of them are appointed by Republicans. I mean, look at the Supreme Court. George Bush's one of his dumbest mistakes was, of course, the
John Roberts.
Court, John Roberts.
Yeah,
John Roberts, a fake conservative, not a conservative, and he's the one to put him up there to be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. What a mistake that was! I mean, almost as big a mistake as what he did in Iraq.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, for sure. And this guy's going to be there for life. I mean, how old is he now? I would imagine he's still got another 25 years or more on that bench if he wants it.
The only thing dumber than appointing him was the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sotomayor to the court. These two dunderheads are real winners. I mean, I'll tell you how these people got law degrees, let alone practice law, is beyond me. We must have really low standards in the states where they got their bar examination because, I mean, they have no concept of what the Constitution is. It's all about their feelings. I remember when Sotomayor said, "You must pick me because only I can decide for Latinas." Who cares? The Constitution isn't for Latinas. It's for everyone there, sweetheart.
Right.
It's for all of us, not for Latinas. It's for Native Americans, it's for whites, blacks, it's for gays, for straights, all Americans, not for Latinas. You can just, go right on down the road wherever you came from.
Yeah, you think about it, the decisions that they make, whether it's unconstitutional or not, they make it constitutional in their decisions, in their majority decisions. And it has a detrimental effect on our society, long term for decades upon decades, like Roe versus Wade as an example, 40 some odd years with that or more. And finally was overturned. It's basically said, hey, we didn't have the right to actually hear the case in the first place. That's how it was overturned. It wasn't overturned on any sort of decision outside of the fact that we don't have the right to hear it, and which was right in the first place.
Correct. The 10th Amendment, which is what Minnesota is trying to use now to get ICE out of Minnesota, which is ironic because they ignore the 10th Amendment. Those powers not expressly given to the federal government are reserved to the states because they're sovereign. Well, abortion isn't something that's adjudicated in the Constitution. Therefore, it falls to the states to decide individually. But defense of the United States and kicking illegals out of the country is definitely something that's a federal jurisdiction, and supremacy clause comes into play here. But they're trying to play this unique thing just to clog the courts up. Now, it's very distressing that these people think that they're smarter or better than other people. It's right in line with leftists. That's who they are. They think they know better than anyone else. They'll decide for you what's going to happen and what you can have, and you'll like it or you won't like it. And that's just the way things are. No, they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They caused decades of misery and suffering and death and deprivation for people in Eastern Europe. The slaughter of 30 to 40 million ethnic Chinese in China in the Cultural Revolution. The list just goes on. Other misdeeds. The horrific theocracy that has imprisoned and harmed Iranians for 50 years now. It just never ends. It never ends. Well, 40 years. It's just 45 years. It's sad. It's sad that such things are allowed to happen in this world. We finally have someone that stands up and calls a spade, and he stands up for rights run wrong. Speaking of which, we have an aircraft carrier strike group now sitting outside Iran, and Trump is telling Iran, the jig's up, buddy. So get ready for the next attack. It's coming in Iran. It's not Greenland, it's Iran.
Yeah, I don't imagine that we're gonna grab the well, we could, who knows, grab the Ayatollah. I think something will happen. He's just gonna end up dead, something like that. It'll be reported he's dead. They'll have a funeral, yay. Then they'll have a big riot, and one side will prevail. Hopefully, it'll be the people of Iran that'll prevail.
Well, yeah, but what comes next is always the question. We still don't know what's happening in Venezuela. So we'll see what happens there. But in Honduras, Trump's handpicked, well, not handpicked, but his favorite has now been sworn in as president. The right is on the rise. That's good.
Right. Got to keep pushing for sure. And people down in those countries got to realize that they have a voice for sure. And the world is paying attention now. No more of the dictators and the heavy-handed oligarchs, if you will, down there. We need to allow the people to have a say. And hopefully that's what the case is here.
Yep, absolutely. Look, the world is crazy. It's just upside down. I mean, it's shocking to see people defend rapists, pedos, murderers, convicted, not people suspected, but convicted.
Right.
And these are all people with already final deportation orders who've been convicted, most of them in the States, some convicted abroad for these crimes, and most of them convicted here after they were let in the country. And they have final deportation orders, and the people of Minneapolis are on the streets attacking law enforcement for removing them. And the simple solution in this is for the Minneapolis-St. Paul police to turn these people over to the federal authorities when they're in their custody. But instead, they released 472 of these psychopaths back on the streets of Minneapolis. And instead of being angry about putting child rapists and murderers back in your neighborhood, these lunatics are out there attacking law enforcement. These aren't Americans. These are out of control seditionists and rioters and insurrectionists. This is an insurrection, not January 6th. This is a real insurrection. People are being attacked and harmed. People are bringing guns. There are more guns brought to Minneapolis protests than showed up on the Capitol building on January 6th. More guns. Not a single gun from the Proud Boys was there. Nobody had a gun. Nobody had a gun.
No, absolutely correct. And think about this. Would you want these people, and you should ask the left, would you want these people in your neighborhood, living in your apartment building, living on your block, taking your job, etc.? Would you want them in your schools? Would you want your kids around them? Would you trust your kids being around some of these people? And if the answer is no, then you got to understand that those are the people you want out of this country. And that's the people that Trump's focusing on, getting the bad people out for sure.
Well, I'm not done there. I want these other idiots out, send them all to Ontario. Let them go up there and be the problem of Ontario. They can all go to Ontario. These people are not Americans. This is not American. They sit up and act like they don't even know what the Constitution is. They couldn't defend. Everything all right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Everything's good here.
Okay. Look like something happened there. My screen keeps going out over here. What's going on? Something happened.
No, everything's good here. So no, you're right. Yeah, they want to keep pedos, rapists, and the worst of the worst out on the streets. It's like, why would you take up for them? I get it if you want to take up for a single mother who came here with a couple of children wanting to do better. I can understand the want to take up for somebody like that. But the rapists, the murderers, the thieves, the people that are just doing harm to our society, those are the ones that you should want to get out first. That should be a bipartisan, question. Yes, and everybody should be answering the question with a yes. Get them out for sure.
Well, what I find interesting is we know more about the person who sprayed apple cider vinegar on Ilhan Omar than the person who tried to murder President Trump in Butler, PA. We already know this about this clown. It's already come out. I mean, they just, it's unbelievable that so quickly we know all these things about this person. So Anthony Kazmierzak, 55, followed multiple right-wing accounts on X, including Libs of TikTok, Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and Tim Pool. On Facebook, he changed his profile picture to Trump multiple times and regularly criticized Democratic politicians like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Keith Ellison. So now they're making him out to be a MAGA guy, and we have more information about his life than we know about the person who tried. Either one of the people tried to assassinate the president. The guy in Florida, we know nothing about that. What's with the cover-up, Secret Service? Why don't we know about this? Why is it that the course of history was nearly altered and we know nothing about it? But we know about some idiot in a stage, fake attack to make Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez look like she's a strong, proud woman when she's a lunatic.
Right. Yeah, kind of the kid in Butler, PA, who was killed, rightly by a Secret Service counter sniper. Nearly killed President Trump for sure. Like you said, changed the course of history. The guy looked like Jason Voorhees, as a kid. If everybody knows Friday the 13th, by the way, we know, like you said, know more about the current guy that shot some stuff on Ilhan than that guy more than a year ago on a rooftop, who's been dead for almost 2+ years now, or however long it's been. Know more about her. Right. I mean, how is it that you can't release more information about this kid? I don't get it. The FBI, a Secret Service, somebody's hiding something for some reason.
You mean like videos where he was showing up on BlackRock advertisements? Yeah, that was
no.
Media, but a lot of this did come on this guy on social media. A lot of people went to his
his social media accounts were scrubbed within hours of that event.
Right.
They're completely removed, disappeared. Yet this guy's stuff is still up for everybody to find. Look, the whole thing. Look, I'm not a conspiracy, but this is nonsense.
No, not at all.
This is utter nonsense. This is all skewed. It's all so morally bankrupt and wrong, and I'm just so sick of it. No objectivity whatsoever. No truth. Cover-ups everywhere you turn. Fauci is still getting cover-up, taking away $500,000 retirement. How is that even possible? No one's even allowed to earn that kind of money from federal government. No. Why is it he gets a profit from intellectual property that was created when he worked for the government, and he gets to get the residuals and the dividends off that? That is wrong. That money belongs to the taxpayer. And the guy's a scumbag, and he has to pay it all back. And it just, the list goes on and on here of all the things morally bankrupt in Washington, D.C. I'm sick of it. I'm so tired of it. These people in D.C. are lucky there hasn't been an insurrection against them. Well, there is. It's in Minneapolis, but it's not against the people who need one against them. It's against the people that are fulfilling the rule of law. They're going after Trump and ICE. It's sickening. I've had enough of these idiots. And this is why they don't want me in office. They don't want me in office because I don't cotton fools. And, I don't tolerate idiots. So I guess we can't have someone like that around.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And if you think about it, they'll go after right-wingers who show up at a church to pray on a Sunday during COVID, want to shut you down, say that you're radical, send in police, whatever, to shut you down. But you go out and bust people's skulls out on the streets, you're trying to arrest murderers and rapists, and you want to stand up for people like that? I'm sorry. Let's go after the people going after people that in a church first and foremost. Let's go after them. Let's go after the people that are, bringing down wages, that are committing crimes in our neighborhoods, that are raping young kids, exploiting them, etc. Committing major sex crimes, human trafficking, etc. That's what we're going after here, and somehow the left is for that. I don't quite understand.
Chaos, man. Great chaos.
We're right. Chaos. Yeah, chaos and pure evil. And here's the thing. I don't think that the left in Congress necessarily, all of them, have control over this, but they go along with it. I don't quite understand that. Where's the rational Democrat that's like, wait a minute, this isn't right. I know I won't get reelected, but let's stand up and tell the truth here and speak truth to power. I mean, come on.
Are you familiar with the term oxymoron, Todd? Rational Democrat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, if there is one or two that's out there somewhere, why aren't they like, hey, break from the party, call them out and be like, hey, this isn't the party that we should be. We should be a party for American.
Here's the thing: is there are people Democrats that did become rational. Now they're registered independents.
Okay, right. Or they've conveniently said that they're Republicans to save their job, I guess, or to get another job, right?
Well, I don't know about all that, but no, that does happen a lot. You see these Democrats that have awakened to their party and realize what's really going on, and they're all over X, and they're usually the loudest voices. And they're like born again Christians. Once they realize how duped they've been, now they want to scream it from the rooftops. Hey, look what's going on over here. Look how they're screwing us all over, and they're doing us wrong, and they'll admit, I was a Democrat until I figured this garbage out.
Yeah,
but they usually register as independents. And
is it that the party has a lot of dirt on these people? Because I know that there are people in Washington that their job is to just gather dirt on people to have it available to blackmail people on all sorts of stuff.
Ooh, tell us more about that.
No, I'm saying, but there are people that kind of get that assignment. But you're going to be the guy who gets the dirt on this person or that person.
Are they more like freelancers, or are these people
political
working
strategists
for?
do political strategy groups do this, companies like that, lobbying firms do it, to gain an upper hand, an angle. Oh, absolutely, it happens for sure.
Leverage. You're talking about for leverage.
Leverage, yeah. And you call it blackmail. It's like, oh, it's a crime. It's like these people come up with any number of ways to have some sort of leverage over somebody. Corporations do it. All sorts of people do it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But yeah, they well, we've seen it with the party too. They always pick their, like we saw Cinema. She went against her party. All of a sudden, she got censured by her own party. They're like, well, we're not funding you anymore. And she had to drop out. She had no.
Right. Which is sad. To me, I would never leave a public office, even if I had to leave my own party. I would stay right in it and just be speaking truth to power, calling people out left and right, using the power of the bully pulpit that I may have in office to expose people, to tell the truth, even if that means I'm not going to get support and get ousted from office. That's fine.
You mean like Kennedy?
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, tell the truth no matter what. You're talking about John F. Kennedy? Is that who you're talking about?
No, John Kennedy, the Senator John Kennedy. The
John,
yeah.
Whom I think is running for governor this year, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't follow Louisiana politics. Huey Long was enough for me. I couldn't stomach Louisiana after that.
Out of Louisiana, that was enough. Yeah, yeah. I could take John Kennedy in short bursts, like a 30-second little soundbite. You get into a long interview, and I'm like, oh, he may be telling the truth. He may be smart, but the voice kind of gets me after a while. I'm like, yeah, that's enough.
Wow, one Southerner putting down another Southerner for his accent.
But I don't talk like John. I don't talk like that. So he don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about people who speak in a Southern accent. Don't get me wrong.
It's just his voice.
It can get to a point where it's like, all right, that's enough of it for now.
Was he kind of grate on you a little bit, or?
No, I think it's just the little euphemisms that he uses, the little colloquialisms that he thinks clever, and I'm like, yeah, I like it, but it's like, let's get to some meat and potatoes here before we just use a bunch of little one-liners that he throws out there quite often, which is fine. It's effective.
It sounds a lot like a 1980s action movie. Is that what you're saying?
Right. It's like, let's get to some meat and potatoes, now, and obviously I'm watching the wrong thing if I'm watching a small soundbite. The sound bites, I guess, are for the stuff that he says like that, but maybe it's me and I'm getting my stuff from the wrong source. I don't know, but it can be a little annoying.
He does use a lot of people really admire him for his wit, but
he's witty.
He gets down to the truth and he puts people on the spot. He really grills them. I mean, he's like Ted Cruz. He likes to get in there and grill them pretty hard.
That's perfectly fine whenever you're talking about a Senate hearing. That's perfectly fine. I'm talking about more or less the stand-up sound bites that he gives the news. The first 10, 20 seconds is just, him throwing quips out there. And it's like, I want to hear the meat and potatoes of it because you're going to run out of time. Interviews are usually like a minute, 2 minutes tops. And if you use 30 seconds, 40 seconds of it, like I'm doing right now, you don't get to the meat and potatoes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, you're right. They get 5 minutes to speak.
Right.
And they want to claim their time. Because it's 5 minutes goes by fast in these hearings.
But if you do
the hearings are just political, they're just political theater. They're not
just the news interviews. I want you to come out of these hearings and give me something that I can use and say, okay, this is what you're doing. This is why you're doing it. But instead, you do a 30-second soundbite talking about the person who was just testifying, how horrible they are, and you never get to the real point. Which I would rather get to the real point before you start calling the names. The names are fine, but get to the point first.
To Chris's point, yeah, you've heard them in their hearings at times. They go, well, when you were in my office the other day and we were talking about this, you come to realize they have their office conversations and stuff. He's right. They just put this stuff up front for the public. It's public consumption, grandstanding. Hey, look, it's election year. We gotta look good. We gotta look tough and mean. And
it's fundraising too. You'll have people that are sitting there questioning somebody, and no sooner than they're done questioning, a text message goes out across the country, an email. Did you just see me questioning so and so on Fox or on C-SPAN or whatever? Hey, send me some money so I can keep up the fight. Come on.
Yeah. They do. They got to. I mean,
for sure.
We've heard reports on it that they spend a good portion of their time in D.C. walking over because you can't They cannot campaign in the government buildings or their own offices. They have to go
Right.
to their headquarters, the RNC or the DNC headquarters, which isn't that far away, and make all those phone calls. And from my
Well, the
understanding,
NRCC, NRSC has offices too. Yeah.
yeah, so that's my understanding. It's probably why you're not getting an appointment with your U.S. senator or representative, because they're too busy making phone calls. So you get stuck with the aide that smiles and goes, "Oh yes, the senator will definitely keep your thoughts in mind the next time she
Right.
votes."
Well,
And
that is
as they're taking the material you brought them and sliding it into the trash can.
whenever you go into a public office, like they give the whole, freshman briefing and all this stuff. Republicans break off, Democrats break off, and they talk about how much you're going to need to fundraise for the party, for the NRSC, NRCC, whatever the case may be. You have to sit there and burn up the phones day after day raising money, or else you're not going to get the support of these organizations, and they go find other candidates quickly. So you got to, if you want to stay, if you want to. If you want to stay in Washington, you have to either have a major personality with a lot of money behind it, or you have to sell yourself out.
So essentially what we're actually saying, if folks are listening, is your U.S. senators and your representatives are not working for you. They're working for the party.
Which is where you come in with term limits or voting them the heck out of office on a regular basis. I mean, a decade in public office or 12 years or more, I think you've either done what you're going to do, or you're not the right person for the job.
Or they're working for themselves, not necessarily the party. As I said, politics unfortunately seems to be about craving political power, self-aggrandizement, and self-enrichment. And we just saw Nancy Pelosi apparently cash out 60 million Visa stock. Yeah, ill-gotten gains.
Right, absolutely. But she wants to protect that as soon as she can. And that way she can set herself up whenever she leaves the office. Nobody can touch her. She's going to have so much money, people are just going to leave her alone.
Yeah, she'll be able to fight in court forever with the 60 million. So.
Right.
Yep. Ill-gotten gains, money she shouldn't have. Meanwhile, how many people are paying 29% interest on Visa credit cards because of her?
How many people are dying on the streets in San Francisco because they're homeless, because they're malnourished, because they got disease, whatever the case may be, all from the fact that, she couldn't manage California, couldn't manage San Francisco, her own backyard, for crying out loud. People just destitute.
Well, just a long-term corrupt political family. Daddy was the mayor of Baltimore. He was a corrupt Democrat too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. She learned very well early on how to manipulate and play the game. Got married to the right person for sure. And a lot of people, they marry the money, and in this case, she married a lot of money, and of course, the access to the insider trading information helped out in the long run for sure for those family.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, that's the bottom line here. Is the insider trading. That's what it's all about. And that's right. That's what Congress does. And they get away with it. They make their own rules for themselves. They give themselves pay raises. But,
Republicans and Democrats do it alike. You'll have your Republican that'll come along and say, well, I don't do it like they do it. It's like, oh, but you still do it though, right?
It's a bipartisan swamp.
Yep.
It is.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's going to take each and every one of us to show up and vote. And most just won't. They'll stay at home. And then they'll decry, well, in case the government becomes tyrannical. I'm sorry, $40 trillion in national debt. The fact that they don't have to listen to you to send your kids overseas to die in harm's way. Like you said, Iraq a minute ago, 2003, needless invasion there. Have no problem spending trillions of dollars in Iraq, letting your kids die. But then it wants you to thank them and vote for them and thank them for their service and tell them how great of conservative they are, like Marsha Blackburn in my state. Oh, great conservative Marsha. BS, insider trading, everything, all the cronies, all that nonsense. I mean, her and her family have gotten very wealthy off of her being in office. Yeah, and I won't say too much more. I've got more to say on her moving forward.
I think we just heard Todd McKinley's version of Creedence Clearwater's revival, Fortunate Son.
Yeah, I mean, these people just lie, and it's like, where's all? I mean, because in my home county here in Sullivan County, Tennessee, you got I think 130,000 roughly voters, and we got a local election coming up in May. It's a local primary, and you're going to have maybe 16,000 people show up for that. In August, we have another primary, state and federal primary, gubernatorial race coming up, so it'll be a larger turnout, but you still will only get north of 50%, maybe 70% if you're lucky on a good year. Lucky to get 70%. So, and then people will complain over the next 4 years why it's corrupt. ... It's like, yeah, but most people didn't show up to vote. Yeah, and if you don't vote in the primary, you're going to get pretty much stuck with whoever wins that nomination.
That's how often do you actually get to vote for somebody? I mean, so many times you're sitting there going, "Wow, I got the lesser of two evils." I'm not really voting for somebody; I'm voting against somebody.
Right. Well, we had a guest on here, Monty Fritz, a few weeks ago, a couple months back, running for governor. I will say this: his poll numbers have come up in a big way. He's now ahead of Congressman John Rose in the state of Tennessee, and Marsha Blackburn's apparently hers is flatlined and trended downward a little bit, but she still has a massive majority as far as likely voters. But a lot of those happen to do with just being establishment, Republicans. And I'm like, we've got to get rid of these people. They do you a disservice. I'm not saying Monty's necessarily the right guy across the board, but look for alternatives, not just the people who are backed by a lot of money from Washington or Nashville. There are alternatives that are out there, good people, well-educated, well-rounded individuals that just don't have access to the big money that we should be looking at as well. My thoughts.
No argument from me. That's part of the problem here. Is these people get entrenched. They get entrenched. They don't go anywhere. They don't want to go anywhere.
Right. And if so-and-so swoops in and does an endorsement, it's like, well, they got endorsed by so-and-so. It's like, yeah, what does that mean? That they gave money to that person? They have access to that person? Doesn't mean they're better than the person that didn't get the endorsement. So.
Oh, boy. This Mayor Small Fry Jacob is comical. He said, the job of our police is to keep people safe. Really? You're not out there stopping violent insurrectionists on the streets. Not to enforce federal immigration laws. I want them preventing homicides, not hunting down a working dad who contributes to Minneapolis and is from Ecuador. Well, the working dad that he's talking about is a convicted murderer or a child rapist and not contributing to Minneapolis. I don't care whether he's from Ecuador or Canada. It really doesn't matter. And you're not preventing homicides. You're contributing to them by putting convicted murderers back on the streets, you moron. He said it's similar to the policy your guy Rudy had in New York City. Everyone should feel safe. No, Rudy Giuliani did not have a policy like that, Mayor Small Fry Jacob. Rudy Giuliani cooperated with federal authorities when he was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, and when he was mayor of New York City, cooperated with federal authorities. Small Fry Jacob is a loser, pathetic boy who probably got picked on a lot in school because he was such a sad geek. And now he's taking out his revenge on the people of Minneapolis. Instead of learning Swedish or Norwegian or German, guess what he learned as a foreign language?
Oh, Arabic maybe? What did he learn?
Somali.
Somali. Oh, of course. How did we miss that?
Yeah,
that was
right
large. That was low hanging fruit, gents. That was low hanging fruit.
Large voting block there for sure. And it's for certain that they didn't want to come here and assimilate to become Americans. And if you allow enough in, they will take over Minneapolis and completely destroy your city.
Will take over. They have taken over Minneapolis. It's
that's
gone.
true. In most cases, I'm telling you, they'll take over his job soon enough. And him and his cronies will be ostracized to the side, saying, "We need ICE in here to help protect us." I'm sorry, you screwed that opportunity.
Well, what I would like to see is Small Fry Jacob out there begging for federal law enforcement when he's at Gay Pride Parade and the Somalis are out there beating him up in the streets in 5 or 10 years. Well, let's see him. Let's see him call for federal intervention then.
Yep. Sorry, we can't answer that call. We're busy over here somewhere else.
Well, didn't Minneapolis pass a city ordinance or a law of some sort that they will not allow their local police force to assist ICE agents?
Yeah, this is a problem. Again, there were 1,365 convicted felons in the custody of Minneapolis-St. Paul police departments who they had sent a retainer. Please hold these people in custody till we can come collect them. 472 of these criminals were released by the authorities in Minneapolis-St. Paul back into the streets of Minneapolis. So how in the world? See, these people are just, this is the problem. Anyone who believes what Jacob Fry has to say is an idiot. He's a complete idiot. The argument starts and stops with that fact right there. Convicted murderers, rapists, bank robbers, wife abusers, child abusers, human traffickers. These are convicted criminals. They aren't working dads from Ecuador. That's utter nonsense. What the hell are working dads from Ecuador doing in Minneapolis? It's minus 30. Ecuadorians can't stand that temperature. Get back to Ecuador. It's ridiculous. But I mean, this is it starts and stops right there. How in the world are you making the city safer by releasing? It's like Larry Krasner, who gets accused rapists and murders and no cash bail, puts them back in the same neighborhoods in Chester, in South Philadelphia, where they go back and abuse the same people the very same day after they're arrested. It's a revolving door of injustice. Meanwhile, they arrest fathers who sit on a sidewalk outside an abortion clinic with a SWAT team on a Sunday using Federal Bureau of Incompetence, the Federal Bureau of Incompetence. Look, this is all upside down. And by the way, the man who assaulted that gentleman's 10-year-old son or 11-year-old son was allowed to surrender to authorities because he was a marching soldier for the political left in their ghoulish murder Americans in the womb. By the way, even with 1 million children murdered in the womb every year, we still had a natural increase last year, and it wasn't because of immigrants. It was because of natural Americans increase. The lies about America's population shrinking are being exposed with the midterm census data that's coming out for 2025. The lies are being exposed. Once again, oh, we need immigrants. Oh, America's shrinking. Oh, we have a negative birth rate. Wrong. We had a big spike in 2022 because everybody was at home in 2021 during the COVID scam. And what else were they doing except making babies? And then it tapered off and it was negative briefly again, but now it's back in the positive side. We don't need immigrants to grow this country. We don't need to grow this country. 43 million people is too many. Too many.
Right.
Let's stop right there.
Right, absolutely. I heard a story here the other day. In my state, there was nearby. I don't know exactly the full story. I haven't read it, but it was a brief update on the news, and they said local contractors are under investigation for hiding illegal immigrant labor. You know, trying to keep them off the books, obviously, but keep them from being deported. So that way they don't have to go out to say Home Depot or Lowe's in the morning and wait to get a job. They put them up in cheap apartments basically. So that way they have their labor available whenever they want it. So apparently that's going to break very soon as well. So I can't wait till it does.
Yeah, no, this has been going on forever, and this is part of the problem. Michelle Malkin wrote a book a few years ago about all this stuff. It was really good about how the corporate world uses cheap illegal labor and floods our country. She's not getting much attention now that immigration is back on the table. She was kind of sidelined because she's too devout a Christian for the heathen bastards at Fox News.
Yeah, she used to be on Fox all the time, especially in the evenings, prime time, and they pushed her out of the way quickly once the Murdoch kids took over.
Yeah, because they're heathens. They're godless money grubbers. Yep, absolutely. No, Fox is nothing but a slightly right of center corporate money machine that is just as bad as MS Now, which is what MSNBC has been relabeled as. MS Never is more like it, not now. MS Never.
Right.
Yeah, it's no different. It's just on the other side of the spectrum. They're both propagandists, and they wouldn't know the news. They wouldn't know the news if it hit them in the face. Well, CNN's beyond the pale. We know them, and I've been inside the wire with CNN. I know exactly how they make their news. I mean, I was part of it, and I see the fraud.
They thought you were going to sing their praises and go along with it, and then once you answer the questions honestly, they're like, "We can't air this interview."
Yeah, and they probably think my feelings hurt. They're not. I'm glad I'm not part of that. That's an abomination.
Right.
That's nothing but propaganda and lies, and it's an intentional Trump derangement syndrome. And they even import a little Irish leprechaun to be the narrator. No thanks. I'm glad I wasn't part of it.
The credit to Chris here is that sometimes they goad people on in interviews and stuff, and they'll be able to cut different segments out to make things into their narrative, right? But they couldn't do that with Chris. He pretty much stood his ground and like not budging.
Right. No, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to equivocate. And but it comes back to, people don't hear what they want to hear, and then they get angry or they walk away. But there are times when it's smart to be careful in your choice of words. So, for instance, this narrative about genocide in South Africa has been going on for some time. If you look at the stages of genocide, which the World Holocaust Memorial has put out and others have done, there's different stages of genocide. Virtually every step has been met in South Africa. The polarization, the demonization, the ostracization, the different steps that go along, the laws that oppress people. It's all there, all except the government doing it directly. And arguably the government's doing it indirectly, in some respects even directly now. So I have never called it a genocide, because if you want to use that definition, then you can claim a genocide happens at any stage. The very first stage, when very little is happening, you can say you already have a genocide. Yeah, well, you may be on the road to a genocide. The steps to genocide don't mean you're in genocide. But at some point you are in a genocide as a population is being actively eliminated from society, one fashion after another. So it's a slippery slope on where you go. And the moment you use that term, you get labeled. And whether you use the term or not, you get labeled anyway. But the point is that I've tried to remain objective in the use of that term. And I don't deny that South Africa is on the path to genocide for its racial minorities. That's the intent by a number of actors in society. And the problem is they're being allowed to get away with it, which would be a tacit acceptance by the government. Therefore, is it a genocide? Well, one can make the argument it is, but I'm not the one making that argument. I'm not going to sit here and argue against it, but I'm going to point out that it's a step along the way. But if you wait until it's happening, then 850,000 people are slaughtered with machetes in Rwanda. It's a bit late then. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. But they want to quabble over what you call it after the fact. I mean, come on now.
What's that? Say again. Sorry, I saw a comment. I was reading it.
Yeah. So I was reading that too. Yeah. So they want to quabble over what you call it, not actually calling out what it really is. They want to call you out for, oh, he called it this. It's not really that. Let's focus on what it really is. It's a genocide. It's a massacre. Let's call it out.
Well, let's talk about the actual things that happen instead of where the government covers up crimes and murder. They cover up farm murder. They don't have a category for it, and they claim that it's not an issue. Yet I know for a fact that my friend's father-in-law was murdered on a farm in Brits last year, and I have a copy of the police report. It says or house robbery is what it says. House robbery. It wasn't a house robbery. It was breaking and entering. It's exactly what it was. They tortured a 78-year-old man and they tied him to a wheelchair because he just had a hip operation. He died of his wounds a few days later. You know, it's sick. It's twisted. It's going on all over South Africa. It's been going on for decades, and the world has not paid attention. And it's, you know, whether you want to call it a genocide or not, it's brutal, it's racist, and it's intentional. It's not simply targets of opportunity or crimes of going after people who have money. These people had no money. They lived on a remote farm. They had nothing. They weren't even farming. They just lived in an old farmhouse. There was nothing there to take from them. But they killed their dogs the first night. They poisoned them, so they had no alarm, because that's the alarm system people have. They can't afford an actual alarm system. Dogs are much more effective than mechanical alarms anyway, you know, than intrusion detection systems. Dogs picks up smell and noise way before it gets to a house. Right. So the dogs were poisoned the first night. The second night, they stole the tires off the front and back of their car, one tire on each side, so they couldn't drive away. So they were immobilized. And the third night, they came for them at 2:00 in the morning and tortured them for 8 hours, and then left them tied up to die and walked out with a couple items to the house. The police came, and they listed it as a house robbery. I was given a copy of the police report, and I exposed that fraud in South Africa. And I'm not very popular with the police chief. He had to go out there and apologize, explain to people that this was a mistake, how it was categorized. But this happens all the time. And then the government denies it. Well, it's not true. Trump is misinformed. We've only had 2 farm murders. Yeah. What about the other 75 you falsely classified as house robberies, or, you know, or breaking and entering, when you actually murder people and torture them? No, it's sick and twisted.
Absolutely. And it goes on here in our country too, especially in Minneapolis at the moment, right? With the governor and of course the pansy mayor up there.
Yeah, John? I don't know. You want me to answer this question? It's in the chat.
Yeah,
here
go ahead, please.
Side.
Yeah, I'd like to hear an answer on that one.
So Ron wants to know, he said he listened to a podcast of a prominent conservative South African villain, Petzer, whom I know, where he said that less than 1,000 refugees left the United States. What's my opinion on his comment? Even though I've said different. Well, I deal in facts, not hyperbole or misstatements. I'm not trying to I'm not going to be drugged into a pissing contest with a conservative commentator in South Africa, but what he says is factually wrong. I have the government data. I've published the government data. It's a matter of public record. People are not too lazy. They can go look it up for themselves. 1,055 South Africans had arrived in the U.S. by December 31st under refugee program. I can also tell you that on average, 100 to 120 people per day have been flying to the States for the past 15 to 20 days. So that number is well over 2,000 already. When the statistics come out from the U.S. government around the 4th or 5th of February, I'll report on it. And then people who make the false claim that less than 1,000 have come will have egg on their face. They will have egg on their face because the number is going to jump significantly. It's going to go from 1,055. It's probably, if we were conservatively speaking, the first batch, which I predicted, by the way, spot on the 5th of January, they would fly. And that's exactly the day the flights resumed. The next day they arrived on the 6th. There were 50 on that flight. Then in less than a week, it was already 80. And then it went up to 100, 120. And it's been 100, 120 every day for 10, 15 days now. So that's another 2,000 most likely, at least, that have come in January alone. And if there isn't a government shutdown, then those numbers will continue. We'll probably see at this pace by the end of March, 3,000 to 4,000 easily here in the United States, if not more. So the only comment I have for that is that his data is out of date. And he probably has a reason for saying that. There's people on the right side of politics in South Africa. They're trying to undermine, or I'm not saying he is, but they're trying to diminish the role of this program, claiming it's not having the effect that it is having. So people on the left, people on the right in South Africa are lying or misleading about this program and willfully telling false information. Today, I saw a newspaper article in South Africa where, once again, they're making news out of social media. I made a video, which I do media reporting and journalist. From my video, they made a news story of it. And then they falsely said things that I never said. There was a person who was arrested as part of the roundup of illegal aliens. He happens to be a South African, so they turned that into a news story. And they said that I claim that several South Africans have been denied the program. That's not true. I said it's likely that some people have been turned away because they're not eligible. If you're not eligible, you're not denied. If you're not
Right.
eligible, you can never apply. So you
Right.
get to the door. Okay, if you're a left-handed, screw wrench, obviously you can't come. Left-handed screw wrenches can't come. Only South Africans who are Afrikaners or racial minorities living in South Africa who are South African citizens who are suffering from unjust racial persecution in the past or legitimate fear in the future. If you meet those categories, then you can be eligible. Then if you get in, it's possibly denied. But as I said clearly in that video and every interview I've given, I have no evidence of any South African to date in the 9 months the program's been running having been denied. Actually, it's been 11 months if you include, the first bill came in May, but the program actually opened up in February. So I don't know of anyone who's been denied. We have lots of people who claim they've been denied, but none of them
Right.
produced a letter, and they must be given a letter and give 90 days to file a request for reconsideration with the person who denied them access to the program. Not a single person stepped forward with any such letter. So I say poppycock, balderdash, BS, nonsense, bull squirt. So that newspaper outlet lied about what I said. So now people are reading that going, oh, he said this. I never said that. Watch my video.
Right.
Hear what you want to hear.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hear what you want to hear.
So what
Yeah,
is the
facts are
START
fa-
treaty?
Go ahead, John.
I see somebody here
So-
said the 4th of February.
Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty. Is that what we're talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, it expires. It had a time limit. I didn't know it had a time limit. I thought it was into perpetuity, but apparently it expires. I don't really care. I mean, the Russians do what they want anyway. It's not like we're actually inspecting the sites anymore.
No.
The conventional forces, the CFC, conventional forces in Europe, CFE treaty. I was participant in that. I hosted Ukrainians and Uzbeks who came to look at our airfield. It was really a PX shopping trip. They didn't really care about whether we had the aircraft that we had. They're like, well,
Right.
they counted the Apaches on the flight line. Okay, where's the PX? That was the first question. We spent 10 minutes on the flight line. They wanted to know where the PX was. The whole thing is conventional force in Europe and START are all just a joke anyway. The Soviet Union is gone. I don't even see how it's even applicable to Russia because Russia is not the Soviet Union, and that's what we signed the treaty with, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe did we sign START with Russia? I don't recall. Maybe I'm wrong.
It may have been another START treaty, I think, 1 and 2 or whatever. And it was, I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, like you said, Russia's not going to follow any treaty anyway. So what's the point there, And I know the Defense Threat Reduction Agency folks who used to go over there and, visit those sites. They're like, they give the runaround every time they would go there anyway. So the count was always off regardless.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I learned these lessons as a young troop in the motor pool in 8th Signal Battalion of Bad Germany in the mid-1980s. If you lacked your BII, that's your basic initial issue. That would be your lug wrenches and your pickaxe and your shovel and things like that. So the platoon leader would come down, or the battalion commander would come down and inspect each vehicle in line. And it was very easy for the persons who were inspected first. Once they go past, they get a couple vehicles down to grab the shovel, run around behind, walk down behind the generator trailers of every vehicle, and then put it down for the people who are missing the items. I mean, come on, it's not rocket science. We all know how it works.
Done it. We know it goes on. So
it's look, I mean, look, when you get assigned to a rig and that equipment's not there to begin with, then they're going to try to make you pay for it. I don't think so.
No, thank you. Yeah, they make the inspection look good, and then at the end of the year, whenever you have money on the wish list, you get everything balled up, and then now you're 100%, right?
Yeah, exactly. I remember that, as a young troop, we the whole year we get chastised because our camouflage. I'm like, I just got here. It's the middle of the year. It's got holes in it. I spent a whole weekend stitching it up when I was back in garrison, tying it together. This is what we have. And we've ordered it. Well, if you've ordered it, it'll be okay after they harass you. And then they hold your order and they wait till August or mid-August or late September, the end of the fiscal year. And then they order everything. And in October, November, December, you suddenly get more stuff you have any use for. It's a stupid system.
Right,
because if you don't spend all your money, you don't get the same budget the next year.
Right, and keep the good stuff, out of the dirt. We want to make sure it's good for inspection. It's like it's supposed to be used, my friend. Anyway.
I tell you, the number of cans of spray paint that I bought as a young soldier only made $149 every 2 weeks, and I paid out of my pocket to paint our vehicles because we couldn't get paint throughout the year. It's just shocking. And now we have people that can't be bothered to even show up in shape for PT. They get their Dunlap disease, their guts Dunlapped over their belt. It's disgusting. Yeah,
absolutely. The standards have lapsed, and of course, all the cool HUA schools from back in the day are now, lowered standards. I think Ranger School lowered standards. Because during the Obama era, they wanted women to go through, so they had to arrange standards to be a little different, quite a bit different. So, anyway, that's just the thought that popped in my head.
Well, we're getting back to where we were, though. The standards back. So. Someone we haven't heard in the news lately, surprisingly, is Pete Hegseth. He was all the rage a month ago. Now nobody's talking about Pete Hegseth. it's all Kristi Noem now. They want her head.
Yeah, I think her and her advisor will be on the chopping block. If Trump needs to get rid of somebody, they'll go. That'll appease some people for a couple of days, and then they'll get back to it.
Oh, Trump's already backed up. No,
Did he?
He's like, yeah,
Well,
oh yeah, he's like,
but
oh no,
I've seen
you're
him
doing a
back
great
people-
job. No, we love her
But,
here.
but I've seen him back people. Then the next week he's firing them. So.
Well, nobody's doing a fantastic job. There's no reason to fire her. But Pam
No, I don't
Bondi,
think
different
so.
story. I'm not thrilled with the job Pam Bondi's done.
No. Yeah, she's I think miffed it. So I think I wouldn't mind seeing her roll out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's
I'm
going
disappointed.
on there.
Yeah, and the
A
FBI
lot of
director
people
just
are.
completely. I have nothing for him either.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Cash Patel either. Though Dan Greedy Gino has left the FBI apparently now. I guess
Yeah,
he was
he's
trying to
back
fill
at
his
podcast land.
trying to fill his resume with yet another thing. See, look, I was a Secret Service agent, New York cop, a special force guy. I've done it all. Yeah, okay,
Right.
Dan.
Doing it for just a few months and put it on your resume so you could say, past or former deputy director of the FBI. It's like you were there for like a few days. You learned where the bathroom was. That was about it. And you didn't do much of the work anyway because it was over your head. The way from what I've gathered.
I think a lot of people do that in appointed positions. Through the
A lot of
Department of
people do, yeah.
Transportation or Department
Sure.
of Labor.
I know
They take
a
these
lot
little
of political
positions of
appointees.
administration, and next thing you know, they can put on the resume. Yeah, I was there for 8 months.
Yeah, I
Did
know a lot of
nothing.
people that do that. I know people that come into end of administrations when everybody's jumped ship to go get those nice corporate jobs. They come in and get like an SES position, assistant secretary, knowing that they're never going to be confirmed, but they have that title, assistant secretary, whatever the case may be, or acting secretary, just to put on the resume. Absolutely.
Well, no, it's not just that, but how many administrators for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration got some nice cushy jobs as government advisors to some of these autonomous manufacturers.
Right, I'm sure.
So to me, that's a conflict of interest. But yeah, they get these nice cushy jobs, high-paying jobs and stuff. So they only had to be there for a year or so, and all of a sudden they're getting picked up by Too Simple or whatever out there that building autonomous trucks, and yeah, they get well seated there.
Right, for sure. And sometimes you see people that they'll go to the corporate world for a couple of years, and then once the connections have been used up, they'll go back to the government side, and they'll go back and forth. The revolving door, as they call it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's tolerated and allowed,
And because they have access to money for campaign donations and all this, they bring in the corporate PACs. And then, of course, they get the nice cush job. They bump themselves up in title, etc. Then they go back to the corporate world. You see people on their resume that have, multiple titles and multiple administrations. And it's like, they can't be that good. They have to be that connected. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
and some of them end up in lobby firms.
Right. And you got people that go to DC, if you will, and just will never leave. They just ensconce themselves and camp out there. And DC becomes a very small city in the political circles if you stay there long enough.
So you talk about these administrative positions where they're just seeking retirement jobs. Some they retire well off from when they get old.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, it's if you've got a few years in the government, you'll be able to put into your TSP program. You'll be able to build some money there. The federal government puts some money in there. Plus, you'll bounce around. You get appointed to boards. You get appointed to think tanks, and then that's where the big money is because people pay a ton for that. So that's what it's all about. I mean, look, there are genuine public servants, but I mean, look at all the people that roll right into the media. We see Trey Gowdy roll into Fox. We see Joe Scarborough roll into MSNBC, which is MS Now, I guess it is. And the list goes on and on. Kayleigh McEnany at Fox. The list goes, and what's her Dana Perino. They all roll into these roles. Now, in their case, they were actually in communications, so it makes sense. But former legislators rolling into a media career, that's okay. But I mean, it just shows you they didn't go home and build a business. They didn't go home and do something back in their state in Georgia or back in Arizona.
Yeah.
They went on this national thing because it's about ego and about making money. It's not about making a difference. And look, that's fine if that's what they want to do. But at least they left Washington. I'll give them credit for that. Scarborough left, and so did Trey Gowdy. Not that I want to see Trey Gowdy leave. I thought he was much more effective in Congress than he is on Fox News.
I do too.
Yeah,
and his time slot is horrendous. So he can't. I don't know what kind of audience that he has in his time slot.
Yeah, and people like Doug Collins who give up their seats so that they can serve veterans like the VA. I have no problem with that. He's being castigated by the fake news over this Preddy thing. by his comment, what he posted. But Doug Collins, what he said was factual and accurate, and there's no reason to attack Doug Collins. This is disgusting to see what the media and so-called veterans are attacking him. But it's these left-wingers. I saw this guy who was a first lieutenant in New York in the National Guard, who did one tour in Iraq and got out and criticized the government over Iraq, and suddenly he's the darling left wing. So with a bachelor's degree, he's appointed the distinguished political science, professor at one of these Ivy League schools. I'm like, he doesn't even have a master's degree, let alone a PhD, and he's a distinguished professor. I mean, the guy doesn't know his backside from a hole in the wall, and he starts some advocacy group that is hate of America. These typical leftists who serve one term in the military, and they're suddenly patriots. I don't buy it. I'm sorry, it's twisted.
No, in the political world, you got a lot of check the blockers who like, okay, join the military, do a National Guard tour. Maybe you won't get deployed anywhere, and you can say I served like what Tim Waltz, right? He played it up for sure.
But don't you know, his hearing was damaged for his deployment during the war to Germany.
Yeah, my hearing, because I went to that rock concert in Stuttgart. The Metallica concert. I stood next to the speakers. Yeah, you're gonna have damaged hearing, buddy.
I was at Monsters of Rock.
That explains the hearing. Did you make up an excuse why he's got brain damage?
Oh, well, he definitely has brain damage. He's an insurrectionist, a seditionist who should have been arrested for his treason against the United States of America. And he's also a coward and a stolen valor clown, lying to the Iowa State Highway Patrol that the reason he couldn't pass his sobriety test is because his inner ear is messed up because of combat, when he never served in combat.
Okay.
And when he was supposed to serve in combat as a sergeant major, which meant he wouldn't have seen any action, he's a coward and backs out and doesn't go with his unit, and abandons his men and women when they go to battle. Look, he's a stolen valor clown who checked the block and got himself a weekend warrior job and brings shame to the reserve component. Brings shame to the reserve component. Yeah.
We were in Afghanistan. We were at the Provincial Government Center in Anbar, and I was in the comms office there, just talking on the phone, doing something. And the brigade sergeant major for the 82nd 1st Brigade comes in doing an inspection because his troops have a little office there as well. And he's thinking that I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm working on a MIT team, a separate mission altogether. He thinks I'm going to stop and show him around the comm shop. I'm like, Sergeant Major, that's not my job to show you around this comm shop. I'm not your trooper. I said, I have a job to do, and you're interfering with it. And he's like, oh, okay. And he walked out of the room. And that was it. But I was fair with him. I said, it's not my job to show you around. That's your trooper's job. Fast forward just a few months after the tour, I'm serving in his brigade. And who's the first person I met when I show up? It's him. He's like, I know you from somewhere. I'm like, not sure where, Sergeant Major. But it was funny. Yeah. He knew where I was from. He knew exactly.
Well, all I know is there's a hungry kind of feeling, and every day it grows. You know there's so much more to you than anybody knows. Be all that you can be.
Hey, First Sergeant.
Keep on reaching. Hey, First Sergeant. That is the best one ever.
Yeah,
that big 70s porn mustache. Nobody had those things.
Yeah, out of regulations.
Oh, my goodness. But look, it was the best marketing campaign in the history of marketing. I signed up during the Army during that time.
I wanted to join. Yeah, be the one. Yeah, or excuse me.
Right.
Yeah, during that time.
Be all you can be.
Be all you can.
In the Army, we do more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day, and that's actually true these days, especially in the 21st century. We do more than Gen X and Y do in a week before 6 a.m.
I remember, thinking of that, going out on these long runs, and I'm like 10 miles away from out in the training field. It's like, man, it's 6 a.m. and I'm 10 miles out. I've done this, and this all before 6 a.m. It is true.
Yeah, it is true. But that was a great marketing campaign. They then they had some really stupid ones. The Army won because we couldn't afford it anymore.
Oh, horrible.
There it is, John.
That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That's our bit for tonight. We hope you got something out of it. A little bit of entertainment, if nothing else. We always enjoy doing this with you. Please do come and visit again next Wednesday night, same time, same place. Until then, God bless and take care.